Hello friends, welcome to We Are Change Fresno TV. Today is Wednesday, March 27, 2013, and we're on our second Skype call to activist Paul Wesley. He's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And so, how you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great, guys. It's a pleasure being here, and it's great to go from east to west coast and west coast to east coast to try to bring truth and a little bit of understanding to all your viewers that want to know what's going on.
So Paul, what is the state of liberty now in Philadelphia?
Well, I think the Day of Liberty in Philadelphia is basically, first off, it shouldn't be a Day of Liberty. I think that what should basically happen is that, like all truthers, we do what we do to expose chemtrails, Monsanto, the crooked, corrupt government that's basically trying to have a one world government. And I think instead of a Day of Liberty, I think it should be a day of great awakening because there's so many people asleep, and whether it be via chemtrails, fluoride in the water, GMOs in our food. You go to McDonald's and you see how many people are just consuming this garbage, and it's disgusting. So I think every day is a day of liberty, but if there was going to be one day of liberty, I think it should be like a day of mass awakening.
And what do you think can bring that about? Because, I tell people and they just don't care,
Exactly. Right.
So how do we raise that consciousness level then? Some people care, but the majority don't care.
Well, it all comes down to a conscious level. And I think when the truth hits people, it comes down to one or two things. It comes down to, number one, I understand what's going on, but number two, do I want to will into existence the self-empower myself to actually make that change? And this is what I love about the name We Are Change. And, it comes down to when people actually see the nasty shit that's going on, do I want to get off my couch? Do I want to wake up and risk my family, risk my job, risk my friends laughing at me? And that's what it's about. And so to say, what will it take for people to change? I think that comes down to the fact of, what are we willing to sacrifice for that change? And because as a society that we've been so pampered via Xbox, PlayStation, internet, our forefathers are rolling in their graves right now because they're looking at us like, wow, these guys are basically getting it up the ass, and each and every way you can think about it, through executive orders from Obama to drone strikes. And we're just basically sitting back and just, oh, I don't care. I just want to dance with the stars on TV. And so if you look at, what happened with Homeland Security ordering 1.6 billion, ammo, and you look at all the armored trucks that were bought, you say to yourself, I say to myself that the government has a plan, and I think that plan is, they know the Great Awakening, so to speak, is going to happen because people are going to be pushed to the point where it's going to be, okay, well, wow, people like me and you guys were right all along. People like me and you guys who are out talking about chemtrails, giving out flyers every day, were right all along. And by the time that it happens, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be where, it's the people that have the guns, basically, and the people that know what's going on. It's just going to be a big fight. So it's really rough right now, really rough.
And so what's the most recent activism that you've been up to? Myself personally, I was running an errand on lunch yesterday, and I happened to run into a veteran. I didn't know it at the time, but the guy asked me, do you happen to know where the IRS building is here downtown? And so I started laughing because I know the security that you have to go through at the IRS building just to get a tax form. And then so we conversated a little bit, and I told him, that he was the #1 threat. He was Department of Homeland Security #1 threat, and that he needed to be aware of that. And he said he was. And then so I started talking to him about, are you aware of the New World Order? He said no. So I gave him a DVD, and that was some activism that I did yesterday that made me feel good, and I think the guy was actually going to listen. So what have you been up to, Paul, recently?
And I think I'm going to get to that definitely, and I love that what you did, because that's what it comes down to. You know, I always say that you can talk to 1,000 people, but if you can reach 2 out of 1,000, then we did our job. And I think collectively as individuals, it all comes down to doing our job. And the mentality of people is, well, you know, I can talk to 1,000 people, but no one's going to wake up. No one's going to listen. But there are them 2 people that will listen, and their family and their family. It's like kind of like a trickle-down effect. But me, myself, you know, I'm out on the streets of Philadelphia, I would say at least 4 days a week, solo. And I see, you know, and I'm just going to blatantly come out and say it. There's nobody else in the city of Philadelphia bringing it on the level that I'm bringing it. And that's no ego intended, you know, and yes, there's a couple groups, you know, like End the Fed or whatever in Philly, and that's great. It's great to see positive groups that are doing things, but it always seems to me that it's like an inner circle, if you know what I mean. Like you have certain organizations kind of like where they want to wake up people, but it's like they just have their little cliques, their little groups where they just all join together. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of effort in the city to actually reach out to the inner community. And like in California, like you have it all the time, guys. Like you'll see, you know, you'll have like people who ride on the subways, on the buses, 9-to-5ers, old veterans. These people have no clue what's going on. And I think if we want to wake up the masses in like an overall state, to actually get into the minds of people to wake them up, because basically what the government's done right now is they mind control people. They're mind fucking you know, the masses. It's through via, you know, water, dumbing people down, water, air, food, regardless. But I think that, you know, we really need to get out and, you know, wake up people that have no clue, you know, the people in the bars. I mean, other than the fact that I've given out flyers and all and the stuff that I do, you know, I'm getting ready to do a lecture on how I feel that the depopulation agenda and the New World Order is totally connected, because it really is. If you think about what they're doing to us through chemtrails, food, and water, there's 7 billion people, I think, on the planet, right?
Yeah.
And right, exactly. So they're poisoning us for a reason. They wanted to populate us. And I think that, you know, the main thing is to get to these people as quickly as they can. And I made a video, and I just want to, you know, promote what I do. You can go to youtube.com/Princetruthchaser. And I actually went up to a pharmacist and I said, excuse me. And she said, what? I said, well, what's in the vaccine? You know, what's in the vaccines that you're giving us? And she says, well, let me see the box. Let me get the box. So I said, okay, I'll let her get the box. And I said, well, okay, well, now that you know what's in the box, I'm going to tell you what's in the actual vaccine. And as soon as I said that to her, her whole energy shifted, her whole, you know, like her mentality shifted. And she goes, oh my God. And like, she was pretty much dumbstruck when I told her that. And I think that, you know, a lot of people just don't know. But I'm out on the streets of Philadelphia, dude. I'm bringing not only a resistance awareness, but also awareness that love is key, because I think that that's overlooked in a lot of things, because I think that the government in general wants to bash fear into the society, into the people, and it's kind of like, you know, well, fear, and they want to kind of take out the whole aspect of community, which is key, which is love, which is important, because if you have community, then you have, you know, instead of me and you trying to awaken the masses, you know, you'll have a group of people that actually care about each other, and that's power, that's empowerment, that's self-empowerment, and that is what the government fears more than anything. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, you know, teach self-empowerment, which is throughout the neighborhoods, which is, I think, is key.
I noticed one of your videos you confronted a mainstream media reporter about 9/11 truth. Do you want to go into a little bit about that?
Well, as far as 9/11 goes and the fact that 9/11 is an inside job, I think that's a no-brainer, considering the fact of what it would really take to take down them towers. I was with We Are Change New York, you know, after that happened. I did videos. We were changed New York after that happened, and it's it all comes back to mind control and basically where, you know, everyone wants to love their government and everyone wants to, you know, empower the government, but not empower. There's, you know, people don't want to question. Well, okay, well, the Pentagon was hit, but when you look at the, you know, truth about it, when the Pentagon was hit, it was a missile that hit the Pentagon. It wasn't a plane. I mean, numerous amount of people have said that, and what I think is horrific is the fact that if you speak up about 9/11, if you speak up about the Pentagon, you're going to be thrown in jail. It's insane. But was 9/11 an inside job? Absolutely. And the sad thing is that people who are asleep are going to say, well, we're anti-American, you know, we don't support our troops, you know, people died, and I think this is why, one of the main reasons why Homeland Security is ammoing up. Because when people do wake up and say, oh my God, the government literally fucked us to start a war, you're going to have mass hysteria. People are going to go crazy. But, you know, 9/11, definitely, dude. I was with We Are Change New York. And, you know, I'm one of those truthers where I put my work in, and I wish this on everyone, especially you guys are great. You guys, I actually reached out to you guys. You guys are great. And I think that a lot of people should just, like I do in Philadelphia, because there's not a lot of people on the East Coast that I think have the balls, I guess you'd say, to do it. And just get out there and risk your butt and whatever it takes to bring truth, you know?
So what are you seeing from the people out there as far as arming up and gearing up for this whole arms race? It seems like because here, like 3 weekends ago, there was a gun show, and there was people lined up a mile around the block buying ammo and whatnot. It's pretty concerning and scary, actually. But that's what's going on here. Was just the ammo sold out. It's hard to even come by, and price gouging. So how's the ammo situation in Philadelphia?
So were these like civilians, like normal people like me and you, that were buying all the ammo, or?
This is at a gun show at the fairgrounds. And,
so it was gun show. Oh, well, that's, you know, it's, I've seen that also. I've seen that in Pottstown, PA. I've seen that in Allentown. I've seen it, dude. I think what it is that the people who are awake, who are aware, are ready. And if you look at the statistics, since Barack Obama, when Bush, if you look at the numbers from when Bush was elected, when Bush was in office, from the difference between when Obama was elected, you know, you see that the number of guns bought skyrocketed. I mean, they skyrocketed. So what does that tell you? That tells all of us that we have a man who is basically power hungry, who wants to be a celebrity, he basically wants to be worshipped. And the people who are awake are scared. I mean, you know, this great nation that we live in, that we fought for, and I hope that we'll continue to fight for, you know, we're scared right now because since we've been dumbed down via food, water, air, you know, we basically are now waking up to the fact that, okay, the little bit that we do have isn't enough because this corrupt system that we live in, and this is actual fact, you know, you can go on homelandsecurity.com and you can look in the app, you know, the ammo that they bought. They know. Why are these people buying all this? And this is why a lot of civilians and a lot of decent, hardworking people like me and you are rushing out to get the ammo because we know. I mean, and I've encountered a lot of people in the street, and I just asked them. I said, you know, the NDAA. I said, have you ever heard of that? And they say, oh, no, I never heard of that. So then I explain it to them, you know, or I'll explain it to them, you know, different other things, and they have no idea. But when you explain it to them, like, oh my God, like, wow. And I'm, you know, off camera, I said, so would that kind of persuade you to armor up, you know, to actually defend yourself? And they said yes. And I think that that's one of the main reasons that a lot of people are buying ammo. I've seen it all through PA. I can't say too much about, like, you know, New Jersey, but in Pennsylvania, yes, definitely.
Yeah, it seems like, and especially here, I don't know how your state firearms laws here, but California is very, very strict.
Really?
And luckily here in Fresno County, we have a constitutional sheriff, and so she is actually, her name's Margaret Mims, and she's actually publicly written a letter to Biden when he came out with all that crazy gun ban talk and told him that we're not going, she will not enforce unconstitutional federal gun regulations in this county. So we're blessed to have a constitutional sheriff here. How's your sheriff in your
That's
county?
awesome, man, because, and I'm just going to come like straight out with you because that's what I do. And I think that's one of the things that I don't like to use the term fans, but friends, you know, via Facebook, Twitter, or whatever, people that I encounter, they really like about me is that I just bring it raw. And I'm going to tell you, the mayor that we have in the city is in Barack Obama's pocket, Mayor Nutter. Anywhere Barack Obama is, Mayor Nutter is right up his ass. And
really,
yes, it's sickening, dude. It's definitely sickening. Even when Barack Obama got, you know, when he got elected, first term, second term, whatever, our mayor is like right beside him, dude. They're like connected. And I don't think it's like mainstream. Like a lot of people don't understand this, but yeah, so he's definitely he's anti-gun. I mean, it's so sick to the point now where I think it's where they say, okay, well, if you have a gun, no questions asked, I think $200, you know, they will take your gun. And I don't think that, you know, it's rough, the economy as it is. And a lot of the poor folk, the hard-working people like us, they say, well, you know, Christmas is coming. You know, I got this extra gun or two. Let me get rid of it. And the kind of government kind of puts them in a position where it's like, no questions asked, give up, you know, your firearms. And that is basically to disarm the United States of America. And basically, it's like I said, it all comes down to a mental game. It's to make you think, you know, hey, look, we're trying to protect you, but technically, mentally, we're trying to disarm you. And I know, you know, I know that's exactly what they're doing. And me, myself, I'm a proud owner of a shotgun. You know, I own a shotgun, and I'm not going to give it up. You know, I love to hunt, and that's my thing. You know, and I'm not going to give up my shotgun because we're all going to need it eventually if you own a firearm. But I personally think that in the next year things are going to get really, really, really rough. But you know,
I think that they are going to stage more false flag terrorist attacks. So
like like Sandy Hook is one of them, right?
Well, it sure appears to be staged. It appears to me that anything that the mainstream media, any kind of public violence that the mainstream media hypes is staged, because then they can control the narrative on it.
I agree 100% because see, the thing is that, again, you know, I was the first one to expose the media in Philadelphia. I was the first one to bring light to the chemtrail.
Can you go into that a little bit? What did you expose them about specifically?
Well, as far as the media is concerned, I exposed the fact. Well, see, and when you use the word expose, what I mean by that is kind of like bring to light the issue of how nasty the media is, how nasty and untrustful the media is. And I think basically when you use the word expose, to me, that's bring to light. And I had brought to light, I just literally, my first video I ever done on YouTube was basically I ran up on CBS 3 and I pushed the issue of chemtrails and I pushed the issue of depopulizing the planet. And it was literally ripped off. It was ripped off of YouTube, and yeah. So, but I did expose Channel 10, and I'm getting ready to expose CBS 3 again and Fox News because what I want to get, I want to push the fact of like what me, you, and your listeners know about is the fact that they want to take our guns, and no one's talk. See, if you know what the media is, they want to talk about negative stuff on the news, but they don't want to talk about the single father who had someone break in his house and he shot him and protected his family. Now, you're not going to hear that on the news, but what you will hear about is the psychopath who went in a house and killed, you know, a wife, a husband, and 2 kids. You'll hear that, but you won't hear the positive side. But that's the media's job. The media is gag ordered by the government to keep everything negative. They want to keep us in a state of fear. That way we depend on the government And if we depend on the government and we don't empower ourselves, and self-empowerment, dude, is key. Because when we self-empower ourselves, then we buck up and we say, okay, we know how things are, and we're going to keep our guns. And, you know, when you have a community-based situation like me or you guys, and we're in this little tight-knit community, if shit goes wrong, we're going to, you know, we're going to look out for each other. If there's a crazy in the neighborhood, we're going to take care of it. If there's someone that's in the neighborhood that's shooting, you know, we're going to take care of it. And this is what America is built on. It's built on community. It's built on that. Now, when we give our power to government, what happens then is we rely on government. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the statistics, and the statistics say that, you know, there's more killings through knives, through stabbings, than there is of shootings. Okay, but you're not going to hear that on the mainstream media. But the mainstream media, and I've actually, you know, I have insiders that send me stuff and that I talk to. The mainstream media is gag ordered. It's basically whatever the government puts out is what they say. Like overseas drone strikes and all that, they're not going to talk about that on Fox News, you know. But on Fox News, they're going to put stuff that has nothing to do with it. And I'm sure you agree on that.
Yeah, they're reading a script from the Pentagon.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw, and this is even down to local news. They're just reading off a teleprompter, and they're following a continuity of agenda. And it's pretty obvious because because there's a couple YouTube videos where you could see like 30 different reporters over 30 different local newscasts saying the exact same thing. And the only thing that explains it is they're reading off the same script.
And it kind of makes you wonder, you know, it kind of to the person that's not brainwashed. And I say this, in a loving, in a good way. Well, I don't know. I say this in a way to where you would have to understand the term brainwash, to where if you're asleep, to where it's just kind of like, I go to work, I come home, I rely on my news, I see my kids, I see my family, and I play video games, and like that's a lot of people's lives. So if you explain to them what we are talking about, you know, and it all comes back to what will we will into existence and sacrifice to make the change, and there you go, we are change. You understand what I'm saying? So what will we will into existence to change the circumstances of how things are? And I think that once people begin to wake up and empower themselves, that's when we will change what's going on. And self-empowerment is key in what's going on, because, you know, people like me and people like you guys who actually are the real media, who get out there and question what's going on and confront the media, or confront chemtrails, or confront Monsanto, or confront, you know, Homeland Security. We're the real media. We're the real journalists, not these jerk-offs that are on Fox News, because I don't even think these people are human, and that's a whole different subject that I'm not even going to get into. I don't think that they're human. And if any of your listeners actually see my YouTube, and they're probably going to, hopefully, you know, you'll see a lot of the shit that I'm into. And I don't think they're human. I don't, because a normal human being has compassion.
Yeah, a normal person has empathy for humanity, right?
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
And they seem to go the exact 180 direction, and they get off on denigrating humanity.
Exactly. It's all negative vibration. And I think that if you look at the New World Order, and if we really want to get down and dirty to who the New World Order is, and if you look at Luke from We Are Change, you know, New York, and he talked to David Icke a couple times, which was brilliant, dude, which was brilliant, because when we look at the New World Order, we look at Skull and Bones. Every president we have was a member of Skull and Bones. We're not even going to get into the fact that Barack Obama isn't a U.S. citizen, but no one seems to care because the media don't cover it, right? But if you get into the actual Skull and Bones, and you get into the Illuminati, then you get into the dark agenda, and then when you get into that, you realize who these negative beings worship, and it's scary. And I think that in order to wake up the world, we have to do it in baby steps, because if we just come out and say, hey, look, your president's a satanic child sacrificing, you know.
That's how I've been doing it.
Exactly. Huh?
No, yeah, they're serving Satan.
Exactly. And now, myself, I'm not a really religious person. I believe love is key, and that basically how you treat others is how you're going to be treated. And I have a lot of friends that are Catholic and Christian and Muslim, but the point of the matter is this: is that the people that run this government, the offshore bankers that really run things, are evil, and they get off on it. And so if we're going to really awaken the masses, we have to basically, I mean, it's just so much. It's just so much. And these parasites have planned so far ahead, because when you look at it, you can't even take your kid to school unless they get vaccinated. So therefore, the next generation is already fucked up from vaccines. We're already being sprayed in the sky. Our food's already fucked up. What chance do we have? What do we do? And that's ultimately the question. Now, with all this against us, through everything that I've just said, how do we wake up people knowing all the things that I've just said? And it's so much. I mean, a lot of people ask me, Paul, how do you keep sane? I mean, how do you know what I mean? Like, how do you know all this stuff and keep on going? And I think, that it's love, because
Is it love?
I've had it's absolutely positively love, because when I look at my daughter, and she's disabled from the vaccinations, her my youngest, and when I see her and she wakes up, she's the happiest little girl in the world, and that's what keeps me going. When I walk down the street, I mean, I literally, like I said, I'm on my hustle, dude, 4 days a week, and when I see people beat their horns, yo, Truth Chaser, it makes me smile when I'm having a bad day, and that's what keeps me going.
What do they call you?
Truthchaser, Princetruthchaser, yes, dude, Princetruthchaser. And a lot of people like, oh, it's Prince. Like, my mom, before she passed from cancer, she's called me a little prince. So, Little Prince, I always went by the Little Prince, but because I'm only 5'4", but the Truth Chaser kind of came into connection with that, because we're always chasing truth. People say, oh, well, how you're just chasing truth. Well, realistically, we're always chasing truth, because even when you think you found the truth, you haven't found shit, because then it leads to something else. So the whole Prince Truth Chaser, kind of came into play. But it's just I think that's what keeps me going, is seeing your efforts pay off, and knowing that when our final hour is up, whether it be We Are Change, California, or me, or anyone, we can honestly say we tried, and we made a difference. And I think that, a lot of your listeners would agree that when you go through life, some people have deja vu, some people have dreams where you see family that passed away. I think that this life is an experience for the soul, to where basically what you do in this life determines where you go in the next. And I don't mean like heaven and hell type of thing. I mean, like, it's so hard to explain, but I just believe that we have to keep going, bro. We really have to. What do we have to lose? That's the question. Because once you walk through that gate of truth, once you wake up and you say that you know what's going on, all of us, what the fuck do we have to lose?
We got a lot of beeps in this show, but
do you get what I'm saying?
But we're out of time, man. So we're gonna wrap it up, and appreciate your activism in Philadelphia and raising the public's consciousness level to be aware of New World Order and the death agenda they have for us. So I want to thank you, Paul Wesley, for this time that you gave me tonight.
Right.
And we'll definitely be in touch for some more interviews in the future, huh?
Well, it sounds good, dude, because I'm on the verge of actually tackling the whole homeland security issue. I've got an insider that there's actually someone within Philadelphia who's kind of oversees homeland security through Pennsylvania, so I'm going to kind of tackle her and confront her on a aggressive level. And I'm also going to hit the media hard, because I think that hitting the media hard is key. And your viewers, really, everyone listening has to understand that we have to show the public the media is full of shit. Once we do that, then we got something going.
All right. Thank you.
All right, brother.
Good night.
Sounds good.